Moving on, the leaders of Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo met on the sidelines of the G20 in their first Northeast Asia security dinner. It was the first time President Moon Jae-in had a face-to-face with his Japanese counterpart Shinzo Abe. Hwang Hojun zooms in on the trilateral talks.
In one of his first acts of official business in Germany's second-largest city, President Moon Jae-in attended the Northeast Asia Security Dinner along with U.S. President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. It marked the first trilateral summit since Mr. Moon and Trump took office and comes on the heels of a missile launch by North Korea, one that many speculate was an intercontinental ballistic missile.
First and foremost, on North Korea's nuclear issue, the three leaders saw eye to eye on the need to put even more pressure on North Korea by swiftly drawing up a harsher-than-ever UN Security Council resolution.
China, the three leaders believe, can and should do much more to rein in its military ally.
The three leaders focused on the importance of China's role in resolving North Korea's nuclear problem and agreed to make the most out of the bilateral and multilateral meetings during the G20 period to get Beijing and Russia to ratchet up pressure on Pyongyang.
Just before the G20 began, President Moon and Prime Minister Abe also met one-on-one Friday morning local time in the first bilateral summit between the leaders of Seoul and Tokyo since last September. Moon proposed holding more frequent meetings with his Japanese counterpart. Abe replied that he hopes to foster a future-oriented relationship with President Moon and will closely cooperate with South Korea, especially on issues regarding North Korea. Moon also addressed the issue of the controversial agreement between the two countries on Japan's sexual enslavement of Korean women during World War II. While Abe insisted that Seoul carry out the agreement, President Moon told him most Koreans are having difficulty accepting the deal, which is an emotional issue, and said Seoul and Tokyo must work together to resolve the situation wisely.
President Moon said clearly that this issue should not become a stumbling block to other developments in South Korea and Japan's relations.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in still has a series of one-on-ones lined up throughout the summit. And with North Korea dominating the G20 scene, the next few days will be the biggest diplomatic test of his young presidency. Hwang Hojun, Arirang News.